Welcome back, everybody, to an NIL program edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do hit subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd appreciate that. Give the video a thumbs up upon its completion. If you approve of the content, I'd appreciate that as well. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish, or at JKZND4. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me, you can find me. Whether the football point you want to make is rather nice or obscene, give me a call at 312-900-8815. So, this is a topic I'm very interested in. And 2 years ago, when it was initially being talked about, I was all over it from the Notre Dame angle. I'm talking about the name, image, and likeness legislation that has passed that now allows players to be compensated for their image, likeness, name, appearances, autographs, you know, on a billboard, whatever. Now, when this first came to light, that it was even being mentioned that this was going to become legal about 2 years ago, I said on this show, if Notre Dame handled this right, it would be a huge benefit and could offset, legally, mind you, some of the play for pay stuff that has always gone on down south. I'm looking at you, both teams that were in the national championship game. Oh, what do you mean? Saban would never do that. What a nice guy. Look into Bear Bryant Jr.'s bank transactions. I dare you, if anybody wants to, but they don't want to, okay? It's Saban. You can't touch him, right? Now, I had this show a couple years ago and said Notre Dame should be all over this name, image, likeness thing, build out a program, hire me to build an alumni network of all your alums that are high standing on all these boards at Fortune 500 companies. All the power players that were Notre Dame students that now sit in all these high business arenas. You build a network with them. You find what opportunities match our players' personalities, what their interests are. You pitch it in recruiting. You make it public. You build it into the curriculum. You make it all education and community-based. Make a lot of these NIL deals that have charity extension arms on them. That's what I wanted this all to look like from the Notre Dame end, okay? That's what I had in mind. Never did I have in mind, we're going to give you $2 million if you commit here. Well, for what? Well, we'll worry about it later, but we're going to give you $2 million to come here. I never want Notre Dame to get into that. Notre Dame would never get into that. The only way Notre Dame can work this system is to build it into community and education and wrap and weave it into that. I'm not looking for any games or tricks to be played. I don't want Notre Dame to buy players because Notre Dame's not even in the mix for a lot of the players that can be bought. So that's never been my NIL angle with Notre Dame. Build it into education, but make it public that we have this. It's not a dirty little secret anymore that these guys can benefit. Don't be scared of it. You got to embrace it with open arms. So under Brian Kelly, Notre Dame did announce that they created like a new program and even a new building, a new facility for NIL with technology to help with brand development and that kind of stuff with the NIL. They did a little video, like an icon video on social media. The facility looks great, whatever. So they did make that announcement. I haven't heard a peep about it since, and I'd like to see it being more public. Okay? So that was the past. Let's fast forward to where we're at right damn now. Sure enough, just as anyone could have predicted, the NIL process has turned into a public pay for play down south with recruits simply going to the highest bidder. Texas A&M landed an elite recruiting class and openly paid $30 million for it. Do you think Deion Sanders is getting one of the best recruits in America to play at Jackson State for free? Get serious. Charlie Batch offered Caleb Williams $1 million to transfer to Eastern Michigan where he played. These offers are supposed to be linked to real work and development opportunities. Are they? I have my doubts. Who's monitoring these programs? Who's making sure these guys are actually working? Nobody. This is legal pay for play. Still better than the old days when it was kept hush-hush. But still, this is kind of a problem. This is not what's going on now, especially with Texas A&M ponying up $30 million in dirty Texas oil money to get this recruiting class. That is not in the spirit of NIL at all. To me, this was ultra predictable that it would turn into some obvious pay-for-play scheme in certain corridors of the country more than others. Johnny Manziel took a shot at Notre Dame on Twitter a few days ago about, look at what we're building at Texas A&M with our recruiting class, Notre Dame. I got news for you, Johnny idiot. Simply offering the most amount of cash is not recruiting. That is not what recruiting is. Simply offering more money than somebody else. Not recruiting. So, the next question I'll get is, John, why can't the wealthy Notre Dame alums pony up like that? They do. They do pony up, you guys. But the difference between the people that have those deep, deep pockets in Texas and the ones that do that went to Notre Dame is, the Texas A&M people are ponying up $30 million for recruits. The Notre Dame people are ponying up $30 million in stocks of wine and cheese. Not football. They invest in wine and cheese and picnics and museums. Football's just not important to them the way it is down south. That's a fact. Like, yeah, here and there you're going to have alums that care about football. But overall, it's just different than in the South. Wine and cheese is where that money goes, not to buy football players. So that's what's going on. And it has no signs of slowing down, especially in the SEC. But now what? That's the question. Now what? Here's number one. It doesn't matter at all what you think about NIL. It is here, and it's not going away. So if you want to start engaging me with, they're already getting college tuition. I don't think this should be a thing anyways. That battle's already been lost. That war's over. These guys might be considered full-time employees with insurance benefits in a handful of years. So regardless on your personal feelings about NIL or guys getting paid, that doesn't matter. It's here, and it's only going to keep trending the way of more player power in the future. So that's number one. Doesn't matter what you think about it. The horse is out of the barn, and he ain't returning. Here's number two, and this should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you were sitting there hoping the NCAA will step in and regulate this and do so well, I have a block full of igloos in Hawaii I would like to sell you. The NCAA is the CC, corrupt and clueless. Anything they touch gets worse, gets dumber, makes less logical sense. They are grossly incompetent. Anything they do to address this will be wrong, stupid, or will have an easy cheat workaround. Get that through your minds. If you're hoping that group's going to come in and clean this up, you're out of your freaking mind. These are idiots who have more power than they should, and they think way more of themselves than they should. This organization should be shut down. So, they will be no help at all. So, here's what this means. Individual schools are going to have to work NIL to make it work for them in their situation. Notre Dame isn't in the mix for these pay-for-play kids anyways, so that isn't a huge effect on us. But I need Notre Dame moving forward to be way more public, way more upfront and out there with what they can offer from an NIL angle. Pitch the #1 quarterback recruit in one of these cycles. A mega NIL deal with whoever it is, somebody big shot, Notre Dame alum, grad, big shot downtown Chicago at some ad agency. I don't know. Pitch one of these recruits a mega deal. Put billboards on the Kennedy Expressway in Chicago with this kid. Do something. Do something to make a splash here. Marcus is young enough, modern enough, hip enough. I think when he has time, it is not a #1 priority. It can't be. He has too many immediate things he has to tend to. But when things calm down, I need Marcus to get more serious about figuring out how to make this more public, more direct, more out there, what we could do for you in NIL. So, not his top priority, but I need somebody to make it a priority to get this out there more and embrace it more publicly. Here's the final thing I'm going to end this with NIL. Some of you guys are going to laugh at this. I am dead ass serious 100% with what I'm going to say. I'm not sure if Marcus has an official advertising deal with Vans shoes or not, but I saw him the other day in a picture on Twitter in a cool pose. He's styling and profiling all the time. Marcus is always looking sharp. And he had one leg up on the stand showing his Vans shoes, and then Vans was tagged underneath it. So I don't know if he has a deal with them officially or not, or is just repping their shoes to do it. But here's what I would do. There's no lying. Marcus is a good-looking guy. He's in good shape. He's got that smile, skin tone that everybody likes. Okay, good-looking guy, in-shape guy. Here's what I'd like to happen. I am not hip to stylish male fashion whatsoever. I don't know who is the #1 hippest, most modern, high-end clothier for men that's out there. Versace, Gucci, like I don't know who it is. I'm throwing names out there. One of them needs to sign Marcus Freeman to a deal to be their advertising guy. Have Marcus on a billboard as the Notre Dame coach trying to sell some cologne or the fanciest suits available that are $20,000 each. Whatever it is. I want Marcus to get a deal with the hottest high-end male clothier that there is. Start seeing Notre Dame's head coach in magazines selling cologne, high-end suits, seeing a billboard of Marcus up there looking fly, pitching these outfits, whatever. Get that ball rolling. You know the extra attention that would come to Notre Dame if we did that? Get the ball rolling. Do something unique no one else is doing. You end up with the first coach with a deal from Versace. That works. That plays. That works. So, you might think this sounds crazy. I don't. Get out there and do something with this nobody else has done. open the door for bigger deals for your players by making Marcus the face of one of these fancy brands, right? So there's ideas to be had. I'm not saying this has to be the #1 priority, but at some point, I really need Notre Dame to make it more visible what they could do with NIL. As for the pay for play, it's going to go on down south no matter what system's in place. Notre Dame's not in the market for those kids anyways. So I guess let them keep outbidding each other with oil money or swamp money for Brian Kelly and LSU, whatever. Notre Dame's got to make this work for Notre Dame and then publicize the hell out of it. That's what I would do. What do you guys think? Let me know.